We're going to clean up some energy today. Good morning. It's great to see everybody here today. We are in our second week of a small group study, which includes us, a 7-week journey based on the book The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Now, for those of you who are reading the book, I do want to acknowledge to you that the first 4 chapters to get through are a little like, whew. But once you get through those 4 chapters, it becomes a lot easier. But what we did talk about that week in those first 4 chapters were something that called our inner roommate. Now, how many of us know that we have an inner roommate? Okay, for those of you who don't know that you have an inner roommate, let me share what your inner roommate might sound like. You know, like when you're driving down the street and a car pulls out in front of you and that inner roommate just starts saying all this stuff about this person that pulled out in front of you, and then as you're driving, you're realizing that you're going to be about 10 minutes late to work, and oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to be 10 minutes late because I've been late 3 times before, and I wonder if I'm going to get in trouble. Oh my gosh, I forgot my lunch. I can't believe that I forgot my lunch. I'm going to have to just buy lunch today, but I don't even know if I'm going to have time. If you've ever had anything like that go on in your mind, you have an inner roommate. And I want to tell you, we all have inner roommates. It's the incessant chatter that goes on in our minds all the time. And it's going on all the time, all the time, all the time. So our homework for that week was simply to observe it, simply to become aware that it's there, and start to observe it so that we know that, yes, indeed, there's a lot going on in there that I'm not paying a bit of attention to. I like to say it's what we're thinking about when we're not thinking about what we're thinking about, because we have become so accustomed to this voice, and it is imperative that we wake up to it. Because I'm going to tell you, that voice that is speaking in there that you haven't yet woken up to and started to shift is all of the programming, everything that you have taken on to be true about life or not true about life. That's what that voice is saying. And so it's imperative that we wake up to it. And, you know, we're supposed to be the commander of this consciousness and command it to start saying different things inside of our head. So this week we are talking about the energy of the heart. Now, our principle for this week is prayer. I had stuff up on PowerPoint, so I'm just going to read it to you. Prayer is creative thinking that heightens the connection with God-mind and therefore brings wisdom, healing, prosperity, and everything good. I love that. It's creative thinking that heightens the connection with God-mind. With prayer, we do not pray to a being outside of us as much as we recognize that God is both immanent and transcendent. And prayer is the using of our consciousness to call forth that which we desire to experience. The principle is understanding. I'm sorry, not the principle, the power of the 12 powers is understanding, which is the knowing with the heart. And of course, this is what we're talking about today. It's the ability to know and comprehend divine ideas, truth, principles, and spiritual law. So the first place that I went when I started thinking about how I was going to talk about this on Sunday morning was to something called heart math. How many of us have ever heard of heart math? Yeah. Pretty powerful stuff. This was created by Doc Childer in 1991. It's the Heart Math Solution, the Institute of Heart Math's revolutionary program for engaging the power of the heart's intelligence. Dee and I are excited because in a few weeks we're going to be going to a conference and they're going to be having a keynote speaker talk to us about heart math. I've always wanted to understand this more. Now, what he says in his book is that most of us would rather feel loving and appreciative than resentful and depressed. Do you agree with that statement? Yes, we would much rather. Now, sometimes it's easier to feel resentful and depressed because it's habit. It's what we know. It's the comfort zone. But really, we want to feel loving and appreciative. But the world around us seems to be spinning out of control sometimes. And so despite our best intentions, we get kind of caught up in that stuff. And it can be, not just a daily thing, but it can be an hourly thing that we have to become very awake and aware of. We already have so much stuff that's already built up inside of us. And then this stuff keeps going on, each and every day. Now, what he does say is that the heart is not mushy or sentimental. And this is, to me, this part of this is so important because the heart has been so disregarded as intelligent in our society. It's more like when you tell somebody, I just know it, I know it from my heart, it's like, get over it, because you need to be thinking with your head. There's no rationality in that. And this work is about really recognizing the intelligence of the heart. And so it's not mushy or sentimental, it's intelligent and powerful. And here's what he says, and I love this. He says, they believe that it holds the promise for the next level of human development and for the survival of the world. And I got to tell you, I believe this because we have been so far removed from our heart. And I think that's why you see so much of the divine feminine coming in, not to at all disregard males, but in our society, the males have been the ones with the thinking minds, the females have generally been the one coming from the heart space. So we see a lot of divine feminine coming in where we're going to find this balance within ourselves. He said, one of the observations that intrigued us most is that throughout the ages, the heart has been referred to as a source of not only virtue, but of intelligence. The role of the heart as intelligence within the human system is one of the most prevalent themes in ancient traditions and in inspirational writing. Blaise Pascal stated, "We know the truth not only by reason, but also by the heart." Lord Chesterfield wrote, "The heart has such influence over the understanding that it is worthwhile to engage it in our interest." And Thomas Carlyle concluded, "It is the heart that always sees before the head can see." Like, the heart is so important, and it's so important for us to get really in connection with our heart energy. And here's an interesting fact that I didn't know, that the heart of the fetus actually starts beating before the brain has been formed. I didn't know that. I was like, wow. And scientists still don't know exactly what triggers that, but they use the word autorhythmic to indicate that the heartbeat is self-initiated from within the heart. Interesting, huh? So he goes on to say, in recent years, neuroscientists have made an exciting discovery. They found that the heart has its own independent nervous system, a complex system referred to, are you ready for this, as the brain and the heart. The brain and the heart. There are at least 40,000 neurons in the heart. As many as are found in various subcortical centers in the brain. The heart's intrinsic brain and nervous system relay information back to the brain and the cranium, creating a two-way communication system between the heart and the brain. And for so many years, we believed that it was just the brain that was communicating with the whole body. But what they have found with time and through scientific evidence is that the brain in the heart is expressing almost as many commands as the brain in our head is. That's phenomenal, isn't it? Like, wow, this is such cool stuff. So let me share with you some scriptures. Proverbs 23:7. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. What? For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 12:25, anxiety weighs down the heart, but a kind word cheers it up. Proverbs 17:22, a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Proverbs 27:19, as water reflects the face, so one's life reflects the heart. That's pretty powerful stuff because it's flowing from our heart space, from this heart energy. And he goes on to say the heart is actually very simple to understand. It's an energy center or a chakra. And it's one of the most beautiful and powerful energy centers and one that affects our daily lives. I had a nice picture up there of the chakras. We have 7 chakras, and we're actually going to do a chakra opening meditation at the end of the talk today. So think about what it feels like to feel love in your heart. Think of what it feels like to feel inspired and energetic and enthused. How does that feel when you feel that? Yes, lightness. Feels good, right? It feels expansive. And that's really where we want to be most of the time. We want to be in this expansive state because the opposite of expansive is contracted. And when we're in this contracted state very long, that's when we're starting to create these blocks, not just in our heart center, but in the energy meridians and the chakras in our body. Okay, so he gives a great example of this energy in his book. Now I'm with Michael Singer in The Untethered Soul. So he says, imagine that you're 20 or 21 years old and you're in a relationship. And you can imagine this at any age, so, it's just the best thing in the world, and you've got so much energy, and, you stay up in the evenings, and you talk on the phone for 6 hours, and you get to bed really late, but then you wake up in the morning, and you're feeling all energetic, and you go to work, and you feel great, and you can't wait to get home, and you get home, and you're cleaning, and you're getting ready for dinner, and then, you get together, and then you're on the phone again, and you're just energy. Anybody ever experienced that? I hope everybody has experienced that at some time or another. And then she breaks up with you. And all of a sudden, it's like every ounce of energy is gone from your body. And you just get up and you kind of drag yourself to work, and people try to talk to you and you just don't really want to talk, and you do what you can at work, and then you go home and you just throw your keys and you just make it to the couch, and you turn the TV on and you watch TV, and you're really hungry, but you don't really feel like getting up and fixing anything. And so this goes on day after day, and your clothes start laying around, and you must be eating because pizza boxes are laying around, and and then the phone rings. It's the girlfriend. I'm so sorry. I've made the biggest mistake of my life. I hope that you can forgive me. Would you consider taking me back? And all of a sudden the energy goes, whoosh! Yes! And then you, in an hour, clean up your entire space, and everything looks good, and she comes over, and you stay up and you talk for 6 hours, and you go to bed late, and then at work you're zipping. Yes? We've all felt it, right? That's the energy of the heart. And the beautiful thing is that we can call upon this energy anytime. And I know in my own life, I forget that sometimes. And it's an energy that never ages. You don't have to feed it. This energy is infinite, and it is always right here. It is always right here for us. How many of us have seen 80-year-old people who outdo us? Yeah. I always say to my friends, I want to be just like you when I grow up, because it's amazing to me. It's just energy, and all that we need to have that energy is openness and receptivity. Openness and receptivity. He said the only thing that you have to know is that opening allows energy in, closing keeps energy from flowing. That's the end. Got it all now? Yeah. You don't want to know how? You guys are good. So he says you just have to decide whether you want this energy. You have to decide how you want to feel. Are you ready to feel different? Are you ready to claim that energy? Are you ready to, quit having the ups and downs, or even just sometimes feeling so low? When we live and move and have our being in this divine energy. We are that energy. Even though we're this physical body, that energy is still moving through us. We are that energy. So he says, how do you stay open? By never closing. That's how you stay open. The challenge is, we've all had enough life experience that we've learned how to close pretty good. And so the idea here is that we're going to learn how to open and how to not close on a regular basis. It's just changing a habit. How many of us have ever changed a habit? And did it just change like that? Or did you have to, had to do some work on it, right? Absolutely, absolutely. It is so worth it. to do the work on this. It's so worth it to do the work on this. So basically what he says is that we are programmed to open and close based on our past experiences, based on impressions that we have in our heart space. If we have good impressions, we open. If we have negative impressions, that's when we close. So an example he uses is, let's say that a certain scent, a certain smell reminds you of when you used to have a homemade meal at home. And if you had a really good experience of that homemade meal, if you loved the food was good, if maybe your family gathered around and you laughed and it was a great connect time, then you have a really good, you have that smell and whoa, you're open. But if you had an experience where perhaps you barely even had food, or your family argued at the table. One of my experiences was that my mom we didn't have much money growing up, so my mom would just buy this round steak. And man, she would try, to get it tender, but you never could get it tender. And like we had to eat what was on our plate. And I just remember I would sit there seriously for like 30 minutes chewing the same piece of meat, trying to get it down. So like my experience of that would be an immediate like womp, And so we just start to recognize what the triggers are. And how do we know when we're triggered? We feel it. We feel it right here, a tightness in our chest, a ping. We feel it in our solar plexus. And that's what we want to wake up to, because we want to start looking at these things where we're closing down and stay open as much as possible. In fact, Michael Singer says it's imperative to our physical well-being to stay open. It's imperative to our mental, emotional well-being to stay open. So he says, and I love this, it's a big thing here, but he says that it's possible to stay open no matter what happens in this world. I need that reminder, because I got to tell you, I haven't been real open in the last year or so. It's been hard for me to be open, I would say. You just make a commitment to explore your capacity for receiving unlimited energy, and you decide not to close. And at first it feels unnatural, and here's why. Because when you get pinged, and that old impression is hit, that old idea, it acts as though it's protecting you. An example I would give you, personal example, is that my dad had a very loud voice, and so my dad would yell. And when my dad would yell, I was very sensitive. My mom would cry. So when I hear somebody start to raise their voice, I immediately, do you think I expand? I immediately close. And the moment I close, I'm backing up. I'm not open to anything. And so although I feel protected by that, I'm not working towards any healing in that. And I'm certainly not working towards open communication. I've shut myself down. And so it's really not helping us when it seems like it's protecting us. And he says, do not let anything that happens in life be important enough that you're willing to close your heart over it. I'm going to say that again. Don't let anything that happens in life be important enough that you're willing to close your heart over it. Wow. That's a big call for us, isn't it? Like, are you guys like me? Heart closed, heart open, heart closed, heart open, heart closed, heart open. Yeah? I'm glad. I'm not glad, but it's good not to be alone. So what he says is, when your heart starts to close, just say, no, I'm not going to close. I'm going to relax my shoulders. I'm going to relax my heart space. And he said, he kind of uses the get behind it. And, last week, Chaz talked numerous times about let it go, let it go, let it go. So in my mind, I could see a spatula in there, just go flip and flip it off. Not flip it off, but you could. But you know what I mean. Okay, but he goes on to say, honor and respect the situation. You definitely want to deal with it. This is not about putting your head in the sand. Do the best that you can. But deal with it with openness. When these things come up that we can feel that we're starting to close, that's the time, you guys, to go, oh, hold on here. I need to take a step back. And maybe you need to physically take a step back just to remind yourself, I want to stay open. I want to stay open. I want to stay open. What's coming up here? Generally, it's fear that's coming up, because the only reason that we ever feel that we need to be protected is because we're afraid of something, and take that little spatula and flip that fear out. You noticed I said that correctly this time. Flip it out. And so he says, start doing this in the small things. Start doing this. I think sometimes how, you go into a restaurant and maybe your waiter or waitress is not on the ball. And how easy is it for us to get irritated at that? You're frustrated. It's like, they didn't even bring me my water. Like, bringing you your water is one of the big, ginormous things in the whole world that we need to close over. It becomes ridiculous, really, when you start thinking about it. We close so much over the tiniest things that how can we possibly imagine that we can open when the big things come along? Many times I have to ask myself, in the greater realm of life, how important is it? It's not. There's very few things that are that important in the greater realm of life. So we start with these small things. We start with these things. Driving down the street, somebody pulls out in front of you, and your tendency is to want to flip them off, but you're going to flip them over. Why? Why are we closing to that? Why are we letting this energy get stuck over something like that? It's really ridiculous, isn't it, when you think about it? Oh my gosh, my toast burnt this morning. My whole day is ruined. Wow. I was late, or this person was late, and how many times does it change how we show up? And whether somebody's late or not, they're not causing it in you. You are. Because you've closed. And it doesn't mean you don't set healthy boundaries. I always say that. But you say, I'm not going to close this time. I'm going to stay open. And, the thing is that in the staying open, you don't withhold love. You don't withhold love. I am known. I probably don't do it as much with Paul as I did with Sean, but I was known for, he would call it buckets of ice water. Because if something happened, my tendency was just to go, fuck. And I was processing inside, but I wasn't saying a word. But in that, I was withholding, because I was closed. And seriously, he really taught me so much about staying open, because no matter what was going on, he showed up the same way with me every single time. He never withheld. And that was like such a great example to me of what unconditional love looks like, because his heart remained open. And we cannot look at the world today and somehow place the blame outside of us if we're not cleaning our own stuff up. We can't do it. And we're the only ones that we can change. We're the only ones that we can, I don't want to say affect, because when we start living with more of an open heart and we allow that energy to flow through, and we're more in that place of unconditional love and oneness and connection, it does affect other people, because then they're feeling that. And then they're going to start asking, wow, how did you handle that situation that way? And then you can say, well, I've learned this technique about keeping my heart open. So he says that your center of consciousness is always stronger than the energy pulling on it. You just have to be willing to exercise your will. It's not that you are trying to stop the energies from coming in. I want you to hear that. These things are normal. Like, I'm not even going to ask this question, really. You don't have to raise your hand. Who doesn't get angry or frustrated or fearful, at some points? We all do. It's normal. It's normal in our humanness. The idea is we're just recognizing it, and we're letting them go. We're releasing them, and we're choosing to stay open. I want to close before we go into our meditation with a couple of, I think they're powerful scriptures. Psalm 51:10. So beautiful. It's create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Create in me a clean heart. Oh God, let's say that together. Create in me a clean heart, oh God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Because as we have this pure heart, then we can be steadfast in our spirit, because we're not going like this and being moved all over the place, because we're solid in that place and we're staying open. And Matthew 5:8, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Now, from a fundamental perspective, they may be talking about a God that's in form, but I think what this really means, that when we ourselves are pure in heart, I see God. I see God in every person that I see. I see God in people that are sometimes hard for me to see God in, because I'm choosing to stay open and have that pureness of heart. Isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to invite us, we're going to do a chakra meditation. I'm going to go through all of the chakras. We've done this on a Wednesday night for like 30 or 35 minutes, and it was amazing. So I'm going to invite you, if you would like, to close your eyes and just take in a nice deep breath. And slowly release. And allow your attention to follow your breath as it moves from the top of your head, flowing down through your body, into your feet. And as you feel your feet on the floor, feel that energy just move through and become grounded into this most magnificent energy of our Mother Earth. And I'm going to invite you to bring your attention to your root chakra, which is located at the base of your spine. And imagine this center lighting up with the color red and spinning open. And as you focus here, you feel physical well-being and vitality filling your cells. See and feel that chakra spinning and the color of red, and feel that physical well-being and vitality in your entire body. And then move your attention up to your sacral chakra, which is located 2 inches below your navel. The color here is orange. As your sacral chakra spins open, you experience a feeling of abundance and well-being, and feel and see that sacral chakra spinning and open. And now I invite you to move your attention to your 3rd chakra, which is located in your solar plexus. And it is filled with the color yellow. And as this chakra spins, you feel your sense of self-confidence and personal power grow and expand. Feel that, filling you with a renewed sense of being. And now I'm going to invite you to move your attention to your heart space. This is your heart chakra. See and feel your heart chakra spinning, and the color that is flowing from it is green. Green is the color of healing and love. You are filled with compassion, unconditional love for self and others, and you experience a sense of inner peace. Take a moment to check in with your root chakra that is red and make sure it's spinning, and with your sacral chakra that is orange, it is spinning, and with your solar plexus chakra that is yellow and it's spinning, and now your heart chakra, green. And now I invite you to move your attention to your throat chakra. Here lies our ability to communicate and to speak the truth that we know. As this center spins open, the color purple fills our mind and heart as we affirm the power of choice. And then I invite you to move up to your third eye, right between your forehead, to the sixth chakra. This is the place of great wisdom and insight. Here we see with God's eyes as our chakra spins open, spilling forth a beautiful indigo color. And now move your attention to the top of your head, to your crown chakra. And it is here that we open ourselves to the divine wisdom, to the universal energy and intelligence that connects us all. As our violet crown chakra spins open, we experience pure bliss. And as that crown chakra is open, we can see and we can feel the beautiful light of all that God is that is moving in through the crown chakra, in through our third eye, guiding our thoughts in through our throat chakra, guiding our words in through our heart, guiding our actions in through our solar plexus, in through our sacral chakra, and in through our root chakra, that everything is divinely guided by this wisdom that is beyond our own personal wisdom. Check back in again. Feel all of those root chakras spinning open. And know that you can come here anytime. It is safe, it is powerful, and it is life-changing. And for this we say, thank you, God. Thank you, beloved one. Thank you, divine mind. I know that I am not alone, and that all that I need is truly right here within me, and I choose to live with an open heart. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen and amen. So could you feel that? Could you see and feel the experience of that? And if not, it's okay. Just practice, practice, practice. But it's real, and it's powerful, and it will change your life, and it will change all of our lives. So, namaste, namaste.